New York City.
New York City.
Today is Wednesday, October 11th, and tonight we are talking about the Yankees' number one prospect, Spencer Jones. How soon could he be in the major leagues, and what does he need to do to get there and be successful? Plus, Carlos Rodon had a miserable season. There's no sugarcoating it. But it's not too late to salvage that contract. We'll talk strategies to get him back where he needs to be. And as we consider the 2024 rotation, we'll take a deeper dive into Clark Schmidt's role and whether Jordan Montgomery could be set for a reunion in the Bronx. 169 days until opening day. This is NYY Recaps.
Welcome to Yankee Stadium.
Just when they thought I was out, they pull me back in.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. We are about 1/3 of the way through the Yankee list postseason. Just watched a great game between the Phillies and Braves. Well, great if you like offense. Phillies were hitting the ball out of the ballpark. 2 home runs from Bryce Harper. Right now, the Astros are leading the Twins 3-2 in the top of the 7th. I'm rooting for a upset there. I want the Twins to send home the Astros. How's it going? Hal Steinbrenner spoke today, in case you missed it. He said that he expects the Yankees to make some changes. However, those changes might be subtle. And all I could say to that was, there we go again. This team doesn't need subtle changes. They were bad this year. They almost finished in the basement. They almost finished under 500. They need more than subtle changes. He also said the Yankees are getting a clubhouse renovation. No word yet on if there will be a drunk tank in case they bring back Domingo Germán. Oh! I tell you what, that Harper 3-run jack that he hit to put the Phillies out front tonight was wild. I contend, and I will contend till the day I die, that he should have been a Yankee. He is an absolute monster. I also saw Corey Seager's monster shot last night. Matt Olson hit 54 home runs this year. A lot of these guys in the postseason. I wonder if the Yankees have regrets about not going after left-handed bats when they were available. But tonight we are talking about a left-handed bat that the Yankees drafted, Spencer Jones. There have been a couple of articles that have come out that I want to talk about first. Bob Klapisch and Joel Sherman both kicking off the hot stove coverage. Klapisch wrote that the Rodón problem, and we'll get more into this later, was that his velocity was down to about 93 in his last start, but the Yankees aren't going to send him for an MRI. There's no plans to check out his health. And I got to say, why not? Why not? There is very little cost to the Yankees to get an MRI, practically zero. I bet they have their own MRI machine. We got to find out if something's wrong. So that's number one. That's typical Yankees. The other article is from Joel Sherman, and he predicted that if the Yankees throw big money around this winter, it's not going to be at a bat, which they sorely need. It'll be at Yoshi Yamamoto, the dominant pitcher from Japan. I'm okay with that. And they'll look to augment their offense in other ways. Worth noting that the Yankees were 29th in the league in batting average and 25th in runs scored. So let's hope they augment in the same way that Pamela Anderson augmented. A couple of very big ways. Oh! 2 rim shots in the first 4 minutes and 15 seconds. How about that? So if they don't add any big left-handed bats this winter, I think that's very much an indication that they believe in Spencer Jones. You're seeing the highlights on the screen right now. Spencer Jones is going to be 22, or he is 22 years old. And I'm going to give you my thoughts basically on what we've seen from Spencer Jones so far, and then we'll go through and talk it over with you guys in the comments. He was the 25th overall pick in 2022 out of Vanderbilt, so he is a very smart kid. I love a high baseball IQ in a player. It feels like, they're always a step ahead in the game, thinking a couple of plays in advance. Jeter was like that. Even A-Rod was like that. Let's rewind a bit and talk about his explosive debut last year. First step in professional baseball was nothing short of electric. He hit .344, .425 on base percentage, .962 OPS between rookie ball and high A. So he was clearly an advanced hitter right out of the gate. This year he began at high A, played exactly 100 games there, hit .268 with 13 home runs and 56 RBIs, .787 OPS, and showcased good speed. He's very athletic, got a long stride, 35 stolen bases. After getting moved up to Double-A, his numbers took a slight hit, but not bad. Average dropped from .268 to .261, slugging from .450 to .406. Speed continued to play, stole 8 bases in 17 games, giving him 43 on the season. I gotta say, though, I don't find Major League stolen base numbers to be very compelling these days. Volpe stole 50 bases in the minor leagues, only stole 24 at the Major League level. Jones struck out 155 times this year, which is a lot. That's a lot for the minor leagues even. That's 28.86% of his 537 total plate appearances. So that's the major thing he needs to work on. There's been a lot of comparisons, basically because of their height. They're both first-round picks of the Yankees, between he and Aaron Judge, called the left-handed Aaron Judge. Judge is 6'7". Jones comes in at 6'6", or depending on who you look at, 6'7". MLB Pipeline has him at 6'6", so I'm going to go with that. But the one thing that comes with being naturally bigger is that you have a bigger strike zone. You might remember that Aaron Judge had a similar issue coming through the minor leagues, struck out 131 times in 563 plate appearances in his first minor league season, which is about 23% of the time. And then the next season was at 26. So when Judge first got to the major leagues, he really struggled, struck out about half the time in 2016. He hit that big home run in his first at bat, but then kind of slumped. He came back in 2017 and he was noticeably more crouched, and he has continued to noticeably crouch more and more up to the point where he really, got it right last year. And that is a deliberate effort to shrink the strike zone. If you look at Spencer Jones, he's got more of an upright batting stance. I think he would benefit from some of the same adjustments that Aaron Judge made with Teacher Man, his individualized batting coach. Matt Olson is another guy who's a good example of a lefty with a similar size. He's 6'5", he's more upright, struck out 139 times in Double-A and hit under 250. And we've seen what he's become, right? So it's just a matter of, becoming a better hitter. You can deal with the strikeouts. Always going to have strikeouts when you got a big strike zone because guys throw so hard. And I do think that if the Major League Baseball automated strike zone or challenge system comes into play, you could see him benefit from that. I see there's some major names that he's being compared to. Judge, Olson, all these guys. But he's really not that big. Like he's very skinny. He's obviously very strong. He's got massive power, but he's going to fill out and get even stronger. So that's something to watch out for. His power could be well from being fully developed. MLB Pipeline made their midseason adjustments this year, and they named Spencer Jones their new number 1 prospect for the Yankees. Here's how they described him. I'm just going to read from the article. Jones features impressive strength and leverage in his towering 6'6" frame. He also generates plenty of bat speed and makes a lot of hard contact from the left side of the plate. Yankees obviously need that. His size does result in a naturally long left-handed swing that leads to strikeouts. See Olson, Matt. But he uses the opposite field almost too much. Because he rarely turns on pitches, some scouts will wonder if he'll be able to handle quality velocity on the inner half as he rises through the minor leagues. We see him turning on balls right there. I think that's something the Yankees want to see from him. Get balls in the air to the pull side. You see him turn on a pitch right there and hits this one. He kind of actually inside outs it and hits it to center field, actually left to center. Massive power. Extremely athletic for his size, Jones displays average speed out of the box and is a solid runner once he gets going. He stole 12 bases without getting caught in his introduction to pro ball and covers the ground well in the outfield. A right fielder at Vanderbilt, he played exclusively at center field in his debut and has regained average arm strength since having his elbow reconstructed. He had surgery He at one point was a two-way player, was seen as a two-way player. Look, I'm very optimistic that he's going to be a good major league talent if he can overcome these strikeouts. He's obviously athletically gifted, and I like guys that are just bigger than everybody else. It makes them more powerful and a longer stride. They can cover a lot of ground, especially if they're athletic. And THG says he's 6'7", but isn't completely ripped like Stanton. I'm sure he would debate. I'm sure he would say he's ripped. And he looks ripped. He's just not as massive as Giancarlo Stanton. So, I mean, I'd be interested to see, if he can reach the major leagues next year. We saw Volpe basically barely touch down at AAA. Dominguez, same deal. Spencer Jones got to AA this year. I could see him having that brief touchstone at AAA as well if he, conquers minor league pitching and then being in the major leagues at the end of next season as a 23-year-old. Look, he's not a kid. He's 23. He's going to be 23. So I feel like you don't need to baby him as much as you would if he was, 20 or 21 like they did with Dominguez. Quick word from our sponsor, and then we will talk a little bit about the very tough season of Mr. Carlos Rodon. Coming back right after this quick ad from Game. If you follow this podcast, by now you've heard of Game Time. It's the fastest growing ticket app in the world for a reason. What Game Time is an app that allows you to buy last-minute tickets to local events at the lowest rate possible. So let's say the Yankees have an off night and you decide, hey, I want to go catch a comedy show. I want to go see a band play. I recently used it. I try not to have ads for anything that I don't endorse personally, and I gotta say, it's a great experience. It's very simple to use. Use the code NYY Recaps on the Game Time app and get the lowest price on last-minute tickets guaranteed. All right. Now we got to talk about Mr. Rodon. So when you look at Rodon's overall numbers this year, as I said in the intro, there is no sugarcoating it whatsoever. They're horrible. 3-8 record, 6.85 ERA. And just a reminder that his ERAs the previous two seasons were elite. 2.88 last year, 2.37 the year before. So this year his ERA went up by almost 4 runs a game. And what concerns me most is that his StatCast numbers fell way off. Last year, this was a guy that was near the top in all the StatCast metrics in terms of his spin rate and velocity and whiff rate, all that stuff. This year, everything fell way off. And I just want to kind of take a look at his StatCast numbers with you for a little bit and show you where we're at. So his pitching run value, obviously horrible. Fastball down. The fastball velocity and the chase percentage remained strong, but the velocity dipped to the low 90s in his final start. And as somebody said earlier, it seemed obvious he was hurt. It looked to me like he was hurt. The Yankees say he's fine, and there's no plan to get him an MRI. And again, I ask, why? What hurt can it do to have more information? I mean, all you're looking for is as much information as possible. Find out what's wrong so you know what you have going into this offseason and you know what you have to get. The only reason to cover your eyes and plug your ears is because you don't want to find out something's wrong. But not knowing won't change it if there is something wrong. He was one of the worst in the league at keeping the barrel of the bat off the baseball. And you see his average exit velocity is in the second percentile. So 98% of the pitchers in the league allow softer contact than Rodon did. Now you can say, well, he didn't have a full spring training, yada, yada. The guy pitched half a season. He made 14 starts. He didn't have a lot of innings pitched because he got shellacked, but he made 14 starts. How many starts do you need to tune up? He throws 4 pitches, but 89% of the time he throws 2 pitches, the fastball or the slider. 6% of the time he throws the curveball, and 4% of the time he throws the changeup. Now, I gotta say, there is a remedy to this if the Yankees choose to go that way. CC Sabathia and Andy Pettitte have both been through this at a higher age because they didn't have the back injury. But they both lost their fastballs as they got older and had to go to more of a cutter. Now, Rodón can already make the ball move in that direction with his slider. And he's good at throwing inside to righties. So I feel like working with Andy, working with CC, and learning that cutter, and instead of going for strikeouts, transform himself into somebody who gets ground balls to the left side because he's busting righties in with a short cutter. You don't need the big break like you see there on the slider sweeper. Just a short, late break, and you turn, and that looked like the right movement, but that was on a changeup that went the wrong way. Learn to do that with a fastball. That pitch is difficult to hit. And, if you can do that, you can get choppers to third and short where you have two good defenders in Volpe and Peraza at this point. So post your comments in the chat. Let me know how you feel about Carlos Rodón. We've got a couple of quick voicemails to play.
What's up, Derek? My name is Michael, and I'm calling because I just heard your video where Pat said that he has inside information about Cashman. I know you already called BS, but I call BS because he actually comes to my work, and I work in a club. He's a member in the club or whatever. But that man does not talk Yankees when he's not working, basically. All superficial stuff. Like, I try to get it out of him. I don't talk too much about him. Obviously, he's there to enjoy himself. But the first time I see him during the day or wherever he goes, I say, "What about them Yankees?" But no, he just smiles and stuff like that. But he's a friendly dude. But yeah, he does not talk Yankees at all. I just got mad when he said that. I was like, sorry, I can't curse. But dude is
I appreciate the call. Yeah. I mean, look, that's how I would expect Cashman to act if he, came into a place of business. I mean, most people don't like to talk about their job when they're out, right? They don't, you don't talk about the inner workings of what you do at your business and your plans for the future, even if you have a public business like the Yankees. You talk about, hey, the weather, this and that. Did you see that football game last night? That type of thing.
Hi, my name is Booker, and I've been a staunch against Cashman probably in the last 20, 21, 22 years. He's proved to me, even way back then, when the rules were different, when there was no penalty for signing foreign players or international players. Cashman has never had the ability to grow his own. That is the key to success. Gene Michaels brought the core four. They were ours. Cashman has never, with all the money he has, had the ability to grow their own superstars.
Well, I would say, I'll push back on that a little bit. They've drafted better in recent years. Aaron Judge, superstar, drafted by Cashman. Now, you could say that they haven't done as well in the later rounds. They haven't produced as many quality players, but they've also traded a lot of their talent. Guys like Arias with Texas and all that. So Clark Schmidt, somebody that was drafted by Cashman, and we do need to talk a little bit about Clark Schmidt here. So if I asked you to describe Clark Schmidt's season, you'd probably say got off to a tough start, pitched better in the second half, and that's what I thought. But then I looked at the numbers, and that's actually not true. He had a 4.40 ERA in the first half and a 4.94 ERA in the second half. Now, most innings he's thrown as a major league pitcher. I hear ya. But his best months were 3.52 ERA in May and 3.04 in June. So good middle third, or end of the first third of the season. He went 4-0 in July, but his ERA was 4.43. We're going to put up his StatCast ratings on the screen. And then August, 5.16 ERA, and then 5.11 in September. Lefties hit over 300 against him, which we knew was a problem coming in, and it's not ideal if your home ballpark is Yankee Stadium. Now, you see he's got a pretty good chase percentage. Walk percentage is very good, above average. He throws strikes. But, the numbers, the analytics folks would throw out there were things like, spin rate and his stuff plus. And I don't think it's true. Like, looking at him, I see an average number 5 starter. He doesn't get past the 6th inning. Occasionally he give you a pretty good start. He's capable of going on a nice run once in a while. But overall, I just don't think that he's, somebody that the Yankees should run out there. That's the best way I would say it. Now, if you stick him in the 5th spot of the rotation, he probably continues to develop, gets a little bit better, maybe gets a little bit better at getting lefties out. You've got Nestor Cortez coming back. You've got Mike King in the rotation now. Cole and Rodon not going anywhere. I don't think Rodon is getting traded or anything like that. They're going to try and fix him. So if you plan to start Clark Schmidt, that means you're not signing Yamamoto or any other starting pitcher. But I think he could fit in well as a relief pitcher. And you're bringing Mike King, who's a valuable reliever and very valuable in the middle innings, to the rotation. Which means you have a vacant spot in that bullpen. I think Clark Schmidt should slide back into middle relief and kind of be there as a safeguard for those short starts that Rodon will give you occasionally. That, if Nestor goes down with another injury, he had shoulder injuries this year. I feel like he is more well-suited for the bullpen. But let me know in the comments what you think. He also might have a little bit of trade value. And let's be honest, most of us just want the Yankees to sign Yamamoto. And if you do that, then somebody has to leave the rotation because Mike King is not going anywhere. So go ahead and let me know in the comments what you think about anything we've said tonight. Izzy says, make Brian Sabian the GM. THG says, why are the Yankees perennially never involved in Japanese players or Korean market for players? Well, next week, on, I believe, Wednesday or Thursday, I've got a video coming out about the Yankees' Japanese players throughout their history. And since we're bringing in possibly Yamamoto, there's going to be a lot of talk about Yamamoto, I thought it would be a good time to look at how the different players have done, going back to Hideki Irabu, Keiagawa, onto Tanaka and Matsui and Kuroda and so forth. Ichiro included in that. So we'll go through and we'll do a little video on that next week. Let's talk a little bit about somebody who I think the Yankees should have on their radar if they choose to sign somebody. And that is Mr. Backup Plan, who's having a hell of a year. And that is Jordan Montgomery. Gumby! Look, we can talk about Gumby's stats here. I'm going to pull up his StatCast page, actually. But he has been Mr. Reliable since being traded. He began with the Cardinals, and then, let's see here. I'm just going to pull up his numbers real quick. Actually, let's take a look at his StatCast. So the Yankees traded him to the Cardinals. He began the season with the Cardinals, got traded to Texas at the deadline, and his StatCast numbers are fantastic. He's durable, 3 straight years with 30-plus starts, and he's a guy who is pretty much the kind of pitcher that I want Rodón to become. He throws 93, 94 miles an hour, but he cuts the ball in, throws a big curveball. I've always been a big Jordan Montgomery fan. And again, this year, 188 and 2/3 innings pitched, 166 strikeouts, pitches to contact, but still doesn't allow a lot of base runners, just a 1.19 whip. I think the Yankees should take a look into it. Now, I see a few people in the chat saying, Monty's not coming back. He said recently on Foul Territory that he's looking for a nice contract. I think the Yankees could see him as a good investment. We've seen the Yankees bring back guys on second tours of duty before. Andy Pettitte, after he went to Houston. Roger Clemens had 2 tours of duty. Javier Vasquez, we don't really want to talk about that one. But it happens. Sometimes players leave and come back. They even did it with Aroldis Chapman. Granted, that was via trade. So just let me know in the comments what you guys think about the prospect of keeping Monty on the radar. Richie says, Monty's staying in Texas, especially with DeGrom and Scherzer out. We'll see. I mean, he's a free agent. He can go wherever he wants. And his wife is a doctor. I know some of the best hospitals in the world are in New York City. So that could be a factor. Also, not many parks can offer a 399-foot left center field Death Valley for a left-handed pitcher. And the Yankees are familiar with him. The amenities at Yankee Stadium, you're doing the clubhouse redesign that we talked about at the top of the show. All these things are things that appeal to players. Now, he did say that he felt naked when he was with the Yankees. See the clean-shaven face. He has since grown a beard, and he said he was not a fan of that. So, Lori C., I agree with you 100%. He is going where he gets the most money. All right, guys. One more comment here. This from Yankee Judge says he hated shaving his beard. Don't see him signing with us. Look, you'd shave your beard for half the year for an extra $20 million. I promise you would. And I think his wife would say that she would deal with it for an extra $20 million over the life of the contract. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this little brief respite from a Yankee List postseason. Reminder to call in with your voicemails. We're going to do a voicemail show on Saturday. Next week, we got the Yankees of the Rising Sun coming out on either Wednesday or Thursday. I'm not sure exactly which day. I'm doing some last-minute work on that. And then Saturday, going to do a watch party with my buddy for one of the games that's on. And take some voicemails for that as well. And then we'll go from there. I will see you next time.
Ball game over.
Most impressive.